The laughter traveled across radio waves at the speed of light. Fleet Marshal Grovon found the sound of his own amusement pleasing as he studied the blue planet on his display screen. 400 warships had traveled across the galaxy for this moment, and now he understood why his advisors had called this mission a vacation. Earth. The humans called it Earth. Such a small world. Such fragile creatures living upon it. Grovon had conquered 200 planets in his career, and he could already tell this would be his easiest victory yet. "Begin the broadcast," he ordered. His communications officer sent the message across every frequency humans could detect. Grovon had recorded it himself, speaking slowly so the primitive beings could understand. "People of Earth, I am Fleet Marshal Grovon of the Rithax Dominion. Your world now belongs to us. You will surrender all governments, all military forces, and all resources within 12 hours. Resistance is not possible. Compliance is your only path to survival. We are merciful to those who submit. We are absolute to those who do not." He ended the transmission and leaned back in his command chair, satisfied. Around him, his bridge crew exchanged amused glances. One officer made a joke about how many humans would fit in a mining pit. Another wondered aloud if human flesh was edible. Grovon allowed the humor. His soldiers deserved entertainment. "Marshal," his sensor officer reported, "we are detecting no military response from the planet. No weapons charging. No ships launching. Nothing." Grovon smiled. "As expected. They're frozen with fear. Their primitive satellites have shown them our fleet. They know they cannot fight." In a distant observation vessel, Ambassador Seelith of the Galactic Council watched the same scene with very different feelings. She was old by her species standards, and she had witnessed 17 Dominion conquests. The pattern was always the same: arrival, demand, slaughter, submission. She opened a private channel to Earth, not expecting anyone to receive it. "To any who can hear this message," she said softly, "I am sorry. The Council does not intervene in conquest affairs. We observe. We record. We do nothing. I wish your ending to be quick and painless. You deserved more time among the stars." She closed the channel and prepared to document another tragedy. What Seelith did not know, what the Dominion could not possibly understand, was that Earth had received every transmission. Not just the surrender demand, not just her private condolence. Every single communication the Dominion fleet had sent since entering the solar system. 300 years ago, humanity had intercepted its first alien signal. They had learned they were not alone in the universe. They had also learned that the universe was not kind. So they had made a choice. They would not announce themselves. They would not reach out in hope of friendship. They would watch. They would learn. They would prepare. For 3 centuries, humanity built in secret. Ships hidden inside asteroids. Weapons platforms disguised as dead satellites. Listening stations buried in the ice of distant moons. An entire military infrastructure invisible to outside observation. The galaxy looked at Earth and saw a primitive world with no space capability. Humans had worked very hard to maintain that illusion. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Rena Okonkwo studied the same display screens as Grovon. But where he saw helpless prey, she saw targets. 400 ships, she said to her staff. Standard Dominion formation. Arrogant spacing. They are not expecting resistance. "Admiral," her intelligence officer reported, "we have translated their internal communications. They're making wagers on how fast we will surrender. The current favorite is 4 hours." Okonkwo's expression did not change. 4 hours. They thought humanity would break in 4 hours. Her people had waited 300 years for this moment. They had sacrificed. They had prepared. Generations had lived and died, keeping the secret, building the defenses, training for a war they hoped would never come. Now it had come. "What are your orders, Admiral?" her executive officer asked. Okonkwo thought of the research station on Phobos. 340 scientists and their families. The Dominion would destroy them as a demonstration of power. She knew this because the Dominion always destroyed something to show they were serious. She could not save Phobos. If she revealed Earth's capabilities now, The Dominion would adapt. They would call for reinforcements. The advantage of surprise would be lost. 340 lives against 8 billion. She hated the mathematics of war. We wait, she said. Let them think we are afraid. Let them move deeper into the system. Let them believe their own assumptions. On the Dominion flagship, Grovon received a report that made him laugh again. Human communications were filled with panic. News channels showed crowds crying in the streets. Religious leaders called for prayer. Politicians made desperate speeches about peace and negotiation. Chronicler Mivon, Grovon called, "Are you recording this?" A smaller Rithax stepped forward, his recording device active. Every moment, Fleet Marshal. This will make excellent viewing for the homeworld. Make sure to capture the moment of surrender, Grovon said. I want our people to see the fear in human eyes when they realize they have no choice. He gave the order to advance toward Mars. 12 hours was generous. He expected surrender within 6. What Grovon did not see, what his sensors could not detect, were the 800 human warships waiting in the darkness. He did not see the weapons platforms powering up in silence. He did not see the soldiers and pilots preparing for battle. He saw only a quiet world, and quiet, to him, meant weak. He would learn otherwise. Chronicler Mivon had documented 67 conquered worlds, and he prided himself on finding beauty in each one before its destruction. Earth was perhaps the most beautiful of all. He stood at the observation window of his quarters, watching the blue and white sphere grow larger as the fleet advanced. Oceans that sparkled like precious gems. Clouds that swirled in patterns almost artistic. Green land masses covered in what his scans told him were forests and grasslands. Such a waste that it would soon be stripped for resources. He activated his recording device and spoke for posterity. Entry 412. The human homeworld approaches. Initial observations suggest a species of limited intelligence. They have achieved basic spaceflight, but nothing of consequence. Their largest structure beyond their planet is a research station orbiting their 4th planet's moon. Primitive, unremarkable. The conquest will be swift. He paused, considering his next words carefully. Mivon was a historian, not a soldier. He saw things others missed, and something about this world bothered him in ways he could not explain. Personal note, he continued. The humans have been aware of our approach for nearly a full day cycle. Normal species in their position would attempt communication. Pleas for mercy. Offers of tribute. Desperate negotiations. The humans have sent nothing. They're either too stupid to understand their situation, or he stopped the recording. Or what? What was the alternative? Stupid. They had to be stupid. No other explanation made sense. Far from Mivon's comfortable quarters, in an asteroid field beyond the range of Dominion sensors, Captain Yuki Tanaka addressed her crew. The Silent Promise was not a large ship. Humanity had built for speed and precision rather than size. 200 vessels, just like hers, waited in the darkness, their systems running cold to avoid detection. You know why we are here, Tanaka said. Her voice was steady, almost calm, but those who knew her could see the fire in her eyes. For 300 years, our ancestors kept a secret. They built these ships. They trained our parents, who trained us. They did this because they knew one day someone would come to take our home. She looked at each face before her. Young faces, scared faces, determined faces. That day has arrived. The Dominion believes we are helpless. They believe we will kneel. They believe wrong. In a different part of the hidden fleet, Private Daniel Osei sat alone in a cargo bay, writing a letter he might never send. Dear Mama, he wrote, I cannot tell you where I am or what I am about to do. I can only tell you that I love you. I love Papa. I love little Grace and her terrible jokes. If I did not come home, please know that I went willingly. I went because some things are worth more than one life. Our home is worth more than one life. He paused, struggling with the next words. The people coming to hurt us, they do not understand what we are. They see a small planet. They see creatures without claws or armor or venom. They do not see what makes us dangerous. We love too hard. We hold on too tight. We will burn everything, including ourselves, before we let go of what matters. He folded the letter and placed it in his uniform pocket. If he died, someone would find it. If he lived, he would laugh at his own dramatic words. The Dominion fleet reached Mars orbit. Fleet Marshal Grovon ordered the demonstration. Phobos Station had 340 people. Scientists studying the small moon. Engineers maintaining equipment. Families who had followed their loved ones into space. Children who had never seen Earth except in pictures. The Dominion cruiser fired once. Phobos Station ceased to exist. On Earth, Admiral Okonkwo watched the flash of light on her display. 340 names she had memorized. 340 people she had chosen not to save. The room was silent. Everyone knew the cost of their strategy. Everyone felt the weight of those deaths. Admiral, her communications officer said quietly, "The Dominion is broadcasting again. They are demanding to know why we have not responded to their terms." Okonkwo closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her voice was ice. "Continue radio silence. Let them believe their demonstration worked. Let them believe we are paralyzed with fear." "And when do we respond, Admiral?" Okonkwo looked at the tactical display. The Dominion fleet was moving exactly as predicted, deeper into the system, closer to the kill zone. "Soon," she said. "Very soon." She opened a secure channel to every ship, every platform, every soldier waiting in the darkness. "All stations, this is Okonkwo. Operation Thunder is now active. Final positions. Check your systems. Confirm your targets. In 6 hours, we stop hiding. In 6 hours, we stop being quiet." She paused, thinking of Phobos, thinking of the 300 years of preparation, thinking of every sacrifice that had led to this moment. "In 6 hours, we show them what a quiet world sounds like when it speaks." Across the solar system, lights began turning on in places that should have been empty. Weapons powered up in silence. Soldiers checked their equipment one final time. The Dominion fleet continued its approach, blind to everything happening around them. Grovon ordered celebratory meals served to his officers. They toasted to an easy victory. They laughed about how quickly the humans would break. They had no idea that they were already surrounded. They had no idea that they were already dead. They just did not know it yet. The void between planets had always been empty, until it was not. Fleet Marshal Grovon was enjoying a light meal when his sensor officer made a sound he had never heard before. A choking noise, a gasp of pure disbelief. "Marshal," the officer stammered, "I am detecting. I do not understand what I am detecting." Grovon set down his food. "Explain." "Ships. Behind us. Hundreds of ships. They were not there 1 moment ago. They are there now." Before Grovon could respond, another officer shouted, "Energy signatures from the asteroids. Weapons systems activating. They are everywhere." Grovon rushed to the tactical display. What he saw made his blood run cold. 800 human warships had emerged from behind Earth's moon. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls dark and angular, built for war in ways Dominion intelligence had never predicted. But that was not the worst part. From every asteroid, every dead satellite, every piece of space debris the Dominion had ignored, weapons platforms were coming alive. Thousands of them. The entire solar system had been turned into a trap, and the Dominion fleet had walked directly into its center. "Impossible de trouver un whispered." "This is impossible." The human spoke for the first time. Admiral Okonkwo's voice filled every Dominion bridge, translated perfectly into their language. "Fleet Marshal Grovon, you came to our home with 400 ships. You demanded our surrender. You killed our people to demonstrate your power." A pause. Then her voice hardened. "Allow me to demonstrate ours." The void erupted in fire. Human weapons platforms fired simultaneously. The Dominion rear guard, 50 ships watching for threats from outside the system, vanished in an instant. They did not have time to raise shields. They did not have time to send warnings. They simply ceased to exist. Grovon screamed orders. "All ships, defensive formation. Return fire. Return fire." But return fire at what? The attacks came from everywhere. Human ships moved faster than anything the Dominion had faced before. Smaller, yes, but impossibly quick and precise. They did not fight like normal enemies. They fought like they had been preparing for this exact battle for centuries. Because they had. Captain Tanaka's silent promise led the first wave. Her ship dove through the Dominion formation, weapons blazing, shields absorbing hits that would have destroyed vessels twice her size. Target their command links, she ordered. Break their coordination. Human tactical doctrine was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They did not try to match the Dominion in firepower. They targeted communications, navigation systems, command structures. They fought with surgical precision, cutting the enemy fleet into isolated, confused pieces. Grovan watched his tactical display become chaos. Green dots representing his ships winked out one by one. His communications were filled with screams and static. Officers who had been laughing hours ago were now begging for orders he could not give. How? He demanded of no one. How do they hide this? How do we not know? No one answered. No one could. On the Galactic Council observation vessel, Ambassador Seelith stood frozen at her display. Her tentacles trembled. Her hearts beat too fast. She had sent a message of condolence to Earth. She had prepared to document another genocide. Instead, she was watching the Rithax Dominion, the most feared military force in the galaxy, being systematically dismantled. By the Ancient Ones, she whispered. They were never helpless. They were waiting. Chronicler Mivan was recording, though his hands shook so badly the image blurred. Entry 413, he said, his voice breaking. I was wrong. The humans were not primitive. They were not stupid. They were silent by choice. They hid their strength while we displayed our weakness. We mocked them, and now they are answering. A nearby explosion rocked his ship. He fell, the recorders slipping from his grasp. They were listening to everything. He continued, reaching for the device. Every joke we made, every wager, every cruel word. They heard it all, and they waited for the perfect moment to respond. Another explosion. Closer this time. I do not know if this recording will survive. If it does, let history remember. We came to conquer a quiet world. We did not understand that quiet is not the same as weak. Silence is not the same as surrender. The lights on his ship flickered. When they finally spoke, it was with thunder. In the center of the battle, Grovan made a decision he had never made in his entire career. He had conquered 200 worlds. He had never lost a single engagement. All ships, he ordered, his voice hollow. Retreat. Full speed. Break through their lines and regroup beyond the system. Retreat. The word tasted like poison. But Admiral Okonkwo had no intention of letting them escape. All wings, intercept, she commanded. No ship leaves this system. They came to take our home. They did not get to leave and try again with a larger fleet. Human ships moved to block every escape route. The trap was complete. Grovan stared at his display, watching his fleet die around him. 400 ships had entered this system. Less than 200 remained, and that number was dropping by the minute. He thought of all the worlds he had conquered, all the species that had begged for mercy he had not given, all the civilizations he had ended without a second thought. Now he understood how they had felt. Now he understood true fear. And the thunder was not finished speaking. The boarding shuttle hit the Dominion cruiser's hull with a sound like angry thunder. Private Daniel Osei felt the magnetic clamps lock on. He felt the cutting torch burn through alien metal. He felt his heart beating so hard he thought it might break his ribs. Go, 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 his sergeant shouted. Osei was through the breach first, his weapon raised, his training taking over where his courage failed. The corridor was dark and filled with smoke. Emergency lights flashed red. Somewhere ahead, alien voices screamed in a language he did not understand. His squad followed. 12 soldiers against however many Dominion crew remained on this disabled cruiser. Their mission was simple. Capture the data cores. Find any human prisoners. Get out alive. The first Dominion soldier appeared around a corner. Osei fired without thinking. The alien went down. He had never killed anyone before. He did not have time to think about what that meant. Move, his sergeant ordered. They moved. Across the battlefield, Captain Tanaka's silent promise was dying. She knew this. Her crew knew this. The ship had taken 7 direct hits, saving a civilian transport that had been fleeing Earth when the battle began. 3,000 people on that transport. Families, children, people who just wanted to escape the war. Tanaka had put her ship between them and the Dominion cruiser. Her shields had held long enough. The transport escaped. The silent promise did not. All hands, she said over the intercom, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. That is an order. Her crew hesitated. She could see it in their faces. They did not want to leave her. Now, she shouted. They ran. Tanaka stayed at her controls, guiding the crippled ship away from the escape pods. If the Dominion targeted her vessel, they would hit her, not her crew. The silent promise exploded 2 minutes later. Tanaka's escape pod launched 3 seconds before detonation. She survived, barely, floating in the darkness as the battle raged around her. She would not know until later that her sacrifice had saved not just the transport, but also her entire crew. Every single pod was recovered. Every single person survived. Dr. Samir Hadid had never been a soldier. He was a linguist. He studied languages, not weapons. But words could be weapons too. He activated the broadcast array and spoke in perfect Rithaks, using their own formal declaration protocols. Soldiers of the Dominion, your fleet is surrounded. Your commanders have failed you. Your empire promised you easy conquest. They lied. He paused, letting the words sink in. We do not wish to kill you. We wish to stop you. Surrender your vessels, and you will be treated with the dignity you did not offer us. Continue fighting, and you will share the fate of your rearguard. Another pause. The choice is yours. We will accept your answer in any form you wish to give it. Across the remains of the Dominion fleet, soldiers looked at each other. They had been told humans were primitive, weak, stupid. They had been told this would be a vacation. They had been told lies. One by one, ships began powering down their weapons. Back on the captured cruiser, Osei's squad found the prisoners. Sabantanumans, survivors from Phobos Station and earlier capture vessels. They were kept in a cargo hold, chained to the walls like animals. Their bodies showed signs of brutal treatment. The Dominion had not been kind. One of them, a woman with gray hair and hollow eyes, looked up as the soldiers entered. She did not seem to believe what she was seeing. Americans? She asked, her voice cracked and broken. Nigerian. Actually, Osei said, cutting her chains. But we brought some Americans too. And Japanese. And Brazilians. All of us, really. We came together. The woman started crying. Not from sadness. From relief. They said no one would come. She whispered. They said Earth would surrender. They said we were alone. Osei helped her stand. They were wrong. Fleet Marshal Grovan watched his empire crumble from his flagship bridge. Less than 80 ships remained from his fleet of 400. Most were damaged. Many had surrendered. His communications were filled with human voices calmly directing Dominion vessels to power down and prepare for boarding. He had conquered 200 worlds. He had never lost. Until now. Marshal, his communications officer, said quietly, the humans are hailing us directly. They wish to speak with you. Grovan straightened his uniform. He had his dignity, if nothing else. Accept the communication. Admiral Okonkwo's face appeared on his screen. She looked tired, determined, but not cruel. Fleet Marshal, she said, your fleet is destroyed. Your soldiers are surrendering. You have 2 choices. You can die here, achieving nothing, or you can surrender and face whatever justice awaits. Grovan wanted to refuse. He wanted to fight to the last. He wanted to show these humans that the Dominion did not kneel. But he looked at his crew, young soldiers who had trusted him, officers who had followed his orders, people who would die for his pride. He thought of all the species who had surrendered to him. He had never given them mercy. He had never offered them dignity. He had treated them like animals because he could. Now the situation was reversed. If I surrender, he asked slowly, how will you treat my soldiers? Okonkwo's expression did not change. Better than you treated ours. It was not a promise of kindness, but it was not a promise of cruelty either. Grovan closed his eyes. I surrender, he said. The words burned, but his soldiers would live. And that was something. 47 worlds watched history change in real time. The Galactic Council had observation vessels throughout known space, recording events for posterity. They had documented the rise and fall of empires. They had witnessed extinctions and emergences. They thought they had seen everything. They had never seen anything like this. Ambassador Seelith stood in the Council's emergency session, surrounded by representatives from every member species. The chamber was silent. Everyone was staring at the live feed from Earth's solar system. The Rithax Dominion, the most feared military force in the galaxy, had been defeated. Not contained, not stalled, defeated by a species most council members could not even name yesterday. How is this possible? Demanded Representative Horvath of the Killian Confederacy. The humans have no recorded military capability. Our surveys showed primitive technology, basic industry, nothing that could challenge the Dominion. The surveys were wrong, Seelith said quietly, or the humans wanted them to be wrong. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some called for immediate contact with Earth. Others demanded caution. A few suggested that humanity might be an even greater threat than the Dominion had been. Seelith raised her voice above the noise. I request permission to approach the human fleet directly. Someone must speak with them before fear makes us their enemy. The council debated for 3 hours. In the end, they approved her request, mostly because no one else was willing to go. On Earth, Admiral Okonkwo finally allowed herself to sit down. The battle was over. The Dominion fleet was captured or destroyed. Her soldiers were treating wounded enemies alongside wounded friends. She was exhausted in ways sleep could not fix. Admiral, her aide said gently, the Galactic Council requests communication. Ambassador Seelith is approaching the system. Okonkwo nodded slowly. Let her come. We have nothing to hide anymore. Seelith's small vessel entered the solar system, passing debris fields that had been warships hours ago. Human vessels moved aside to let her through. They did not target her. They did not threaten her. They simply watched. She landed on a human station orbiting Earth's moon. A welcoming party met her at the airlock. Dr. Samir Hadid stepped forward. Ambassador Seelith, he said in her own language, welcome to human space. We have been expecting you. Seelith stared at him. You speak Rillaran. I speak 11 languages, Hadid said. Rillaran was the first alien tongue I learned 300 years ago. Your early broadcasts were quite beautiful. Seelith did not know how to respond. She had never met a species that learned other languages just for beauty. The council has questions, she managed. We have answers, Hadid replied. Kulme. Admiral Okonkwo is waiting. The meeting took place in a simple room with simple chairs. Okonkwo looked nothing like the monster Seelith had expected. She was a tired woman with gray in her hair and sadness in her eyes. You destroyed the Dominion fleet, Seelith said. It was not a question. We defended our home, Okonkwo replied. There is a difference. Many in the council see no difference. They fear you now more than they ever feared the Dominion. Okonkwo leaned back in her chair. Let me show you something. She activated a display. Medical facilities appeared, filled with wounded Dominion soldiers. Human doctors treated them. Human nurses brought them food and water. Human guards stood nearby, but their weapons were holstered. 3,000 enemy soldiers survived the battle, Okonkwo said. Every single one is receiving medical care. Every single one will be fed, housed, and treated with dignity. Seelith struggled to understand. They came to enslave you, to kill you, to take everything you have. Yes, and you show them mercy? Okonkwo's eyes hardened. We show them who we are. We are not the Dominion. We do not become our enemies to defeat them. We will not be monsters just because monsters attacked us. In a holding facility on the lunar station, Private Osei walked among the captured Dominion soldiers. Most avoided his gaze. Some glared with hatred. A few seemed simply lost. One soldier, young and frightened, had a wound that needed changing. The medical staff was overwhelmed. Osei was not a doctor, but he knew basic first aid. May I? He asked, gesturing to the bandage. The soldier stared at him. Why would you help me? Because you are hurt. I would have killed you. My people killed your people. Osei carefully cleaned the wound and applied a fresh bandage. Yes, and that was wrong. But if I let you suffer because of what others did, that would also be wrong. Being hurt does not give me permission to hurt back." The soldier said nothing, but when Osei finished and walked away, he noticed the alien was crying. Ambassador Seelith returned to the council with her report. "The humans are not a threat to species who do not threaten them," she said. "They prepared for war because war came to them. They showed mercy when they had every reason to seek revenge. They're dangerous, yes, but they are also principled. What do they want?" Representative Horvath demanded. Seelith remembered Okonkwo's final words. "They want to be left alone, but they are willing to talk. They said that when they are ready, they will speak. And they ask that we remember, silence is not the same as weakness. A quiet voice can still carry thunder." The council fell silent again. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy, not with diplomacy, not with trade, but with a simple message: we will not be conquered. We will not be slaves. And we will not become conquerors ourselves. It was a new kind of power. The galaxy was still trying to understand it. 6 months after the battle, a garden bloomed on Earth's moon. It was small, just a greenhouse dome with flowers and vegetables growing under artificial light. But it was real, living things in a place where nothing should live. A symbol of what humanity had always done: survive, adapt, grow. Captain Yuki Tanaka stood at the observation window, watching the stars. Her wounds had healed. Her ship had not. The silent promise was gone, reduced to debris that still orbited Earth like a memorial. Today, she would receive a new command. "Captain Tanaka," Admiral Okonkwo said, approaching with a folder in her hands. "You saved 3,000 civilians and lost no crew. The review board has finished their evaluation." Tanaka straightened. "What did they decide?" Okonkwo smiled, something she did rarely these days. "The new exploration vessel Thunder's voice launches next month. We need a captain who understands what our name means. Someone who knows when to fight and when to protect. Someone who almost died saving strangers." She handed Tanaka the folder. Inside was a commission letter. "She is yours if you want her." Tanaka opened the folder. Her hands did not shake, though she wanted them to. "Exploration," she said quietly. "Not conquest. Never conquest. We are going out to learn, not to take. The galaxy fears us now. We must show them what we really are." Tanaka closed the folder and nodded. "I accept." On Earth, Dr. Samir Hadid led a delegation to the first of the former Dominion worlds. They brought food, medicine, and engineers. They did not bring soldiers. The species of that world had been slaves for 3 generations. They did not remember freedom. They looked at the humans with a mixture of hope and terror. "We are not your new masters," Hadid told them. "We are not here to rule you. We are here to help you rule yourselves." Their leaders wept, some from relief, some because they did not believe him. It would take years to earn their trust. Hadid knew this, but humanity had waited 300 years for the right moment to speak. They could be patient a little longer. Private Daniel Osei, now Sergeant Osei, was assigned to the Galactic Peacekeeping Corps. The organization did not exist 6 months ago. Now it had representatives from 7 species, including humans. His first mission was simple: escort food supplies to a planet devastated by Dominion mining operations. Protect the cargo. Keep the peace. He wrote to his mother before leaving. "Dear Mama, I told you I might not come home. I was wrong. I came home, and now I am leaving again. But this time I'm not going to fight. I'm going to help. I'm going to show the galaxy that humans can build as well as break. I know this might not make sense to you. It barely makes sense to me, but it feels right. It feels like what we should have been doing all along." Chronicler Mivon was released from captivity after his people agreed to peace terms. He was allowed to take his recordings with him. On his way home, he made one final entry. Entry 414. "My last recording from human space. I came here to document a conquest. Instead, I documented a lesson. The humans have defeated us and then fed us. They destroyed our fleet and then healed our wounded. They had every right to hate us, and they chose mercy instead." He paused, struggling with his thoughts. "I did not understand them. Perhaps no species ever will. But I understand this. They were not quiet because they were weak. They were quiet because they were not ready. Not ready to speak. Not ready to fight. not ready to show the galaxy what they really were. Now they are ready, and the galaxy will never be the same. Ambassador Sealith made several more trips to Earth over the following months. She became, in her own way, humanity's first alien friend. "Why did you do it?" she asked Okonkwo during one visit. "You could have hidden forever. You could have stayed safe." Okonkwo looked at the stars through her window. "The Dominion would have found us eventually. Better to face them on our terms than theirs. Better to fight from strength than wait until we were too weak to resist. But the mercy, the help you are giving to conquered worlds, that was not necessary." Okonkwo turned to face her. "Do you know what our greatest weapon is, Ambassador? It is not our ships. It is not our soldiers. It is our refusal to become what we fight against. Power without cruelty. Strength without conquest. That is what makes us different." Sealith nodded slowly. "The Council calls you the Thunder World now." "I know. How does that feel?" Okonkwo considered the question. "It feels like responsibility. Thunder is loud, but it passes. What remains after the storm is what matters. We showed the galaxy our strength. Now we must show them our character." She walked to the window and looked at Earth below. Blue oceans, green land, white clouds swirling in patterns almost artistic. Her home, the quiet world that had learned to speak. "We were silent for 300 years, she said softly. "We listened. We learned. We prepared. And when we finally spoke, we had something worth saying." Sealith joined her at the window. "What message?" Okonkwo smiled. "Simple. We will not kneel. We will not conquer. We will not be silent anymore. But when we speak, we will speak with purpose, with dignity, with thunder." She touched the glass gently. "And mercy, always mercy, because that is who we choose to be." Outside, the stars waited. Humanity had found its voice, and the galaxy was listening.